Grand Portage Resources recently completed the 2018 drill program on its 100% controlled Herbert Gold Discovery property located in the prolific Juneau Belt in southeast Alaska. Drill results are expected through late 2018. Past drill results included numerous multi-ounce gold assays on multiple veins. Grand Portage trading symbols are GPG on the TSX Venture, GPTRF on the OTCQB, and GPB on Frankfurt. For more information, please visit our website, grandportage.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mike Swanson, editor of WallStreetWindow.com. Welcome back to the show, Mike.
Oh, it's great to talk with you. Last time we talked, it was an interesting day because the stock market had a huge rally. That day, the Dow went up like 600 points, and that was the day that Jerome Powell said, hey, we're close to neutral on the interest rates, telling us all that they were only going to basically raise one or two more times, and the excitement carried over for a few days, and then it just dumped, right afterwards back on down. I think that was probably the Christmas rally. People look for an end-of-the-year rally, but I think people just played it a couple weeks early this time.
Well, we also had the G20 meeting between President Trump and the president of China, where he said, we have kind of an understanding about trade. And right after that, everything went up, and then it horribly dumped the next day when we found out there had been nothing signed.
Yeah, that was pretty strange. The news item was strange, right? Because he tweeted these things, Kudlow said things about deals, and China didn't say a word, and then as the days went by, there's no evidence of any deal having been made, beyond simply a trade truce for 90 days. So there we are. But, so we saw the market go up on Powell news, then top out and fall on the Trump trade stuff. And, these wild gyrations have been taking place, but I think we have to put them in context with what does that mean for the way the market's trading. And we've seen volatility pick up. That's what these swings are. And that's, to me, a characteristic of a classic topping market. It happened in the summer 2000 and 2007 in the fall. But we got support on the S&P around 2580, the lows of February, April, and this week. And hopefully we can hold that, for the rest of the year. But I really believe that we're probably going to break that next year and really get a real tumble in the first half of 2019.
Are we obsessed with attaching news to the market and then thinking the market has reacted to the news when in fact we're just finding something convenient to attach to it?
Well, I think in one sense, the market, the bigger trends are what's really important, and like I was saying, this is a topping market, and in that way of looking at the news doesn't really matter at all. However, what the news does do is create very temporary moves, when it has an impact on the financial market. So, we just talked about two news items, but, maybe the biggest news item event, of the past 30 years was 9/11, and it shut the stock market down for a couple days. But the funny thing about it is we were already in a bear market. The stock market was actually falling into 9/11, and so I don't think it made the stock market drop, and really didn't matter that much beyond a couple days of action. The market would have kept falling and bottomed out, and not much different would have happened. So, yeah, I don't really think the news is that important, but it does impact, something that might happen for a few hours or even a day or two. And that's what the Trump trade stuff did. It helped gap the market up, but the market, was already, rallying for 3 days into that weekend, and then it got overbought, and then it dumped, but that up and down action, it happened in October too. we rallied into the midterm election and had a gap up the day after, and then that fizzled out and went right back down into Thanksgiving. And the funny thing about the midterms is so many people were making the claim that, hey, when the midterm election happens, the stock market will rally. And then it dumped after, and then they switched to say, hey, Thanksgiving will rally the market, and not much happened. And then now they're saying Santa Claus and Christmas will rally the market. So, and the funny thing about Christmas and Thanksgiving, seasonally, historically, those are reliable times for the market to rally. I mean, the week the market goes up the most is Thanksgiving week, and then Christmas or the month of December. And the fact is, it looks like we're going to close this year lower than we were just a week ago when the S&P was at 2,800. And if you see a lower close in December than you start November, that's usually signals, hey, these seasonal trends, the seasonal trends aren't working, so watch out for the next year, at least for the first couple months.
Well, the Canadian Toronto Stock Exchange had its lowest close of the year. Is this a trend you expect to see in the U.S.?
Yeah, it probably is. And one thing about Toronto, in the Vancouver Exchange, there are a lot of smaller cap stocks on it. There are a lot of energy stocks on it also, and that's a sector that's been falling because oil prices are dropping. However, if you look at the U.S. indices, the Russell 2000 made a new closing low today too. So it kind of, I think that in the Canadian exchanges kind of trade close together a lot. So that is probably a signal, hey, these stock market bulls in the United States that just watch their Apples and Facebooks and the averages and think everything's all right. They're missing the boat if you look beyond that.
We'll have more with Mike Swanson right after the break.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Magnum Gold Corp, MGI, and the TSX Venture Exchange. A 2015 drill program on the LH property intersected several high-grade gold intersections, including 11 meters of 20.66 grams per ton gold. Additional drill targets on the LH property have been identified by a 2018 drone airborne magnetic survey to further evaluate a pyrrhotite-enriched gold-bearing system. Please visit our website at magnumgoldcorp.com.
MGX Minerals is revolutionizing the new energy economy with patented lithium extraction technology, replacing traditional solar evaporation using low-cost, low-energy nanofiltration. The first system of this paradigm shift technology is currently being commissioned. MGX Minerals trades on the CSE, symbol XMG, the OTCQB, symbol MGXMF, and Frankfurt, symbol 1MG. For more information, visit our website, mgxminerals.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mike Swanson. Mike, is Brexit having any play on the big stock markets?
It's funny, not really, not yet. I mean, it's making the pound have some fluctuations, but hasn't really impacted the U.S. market. And we're actually in an interesting time in which there's so many news stories that just make your eyes pop out. I mean, look, in the United States, they have Trump battling this Mueller investigation, but as you mentioned, Brexit. We just had the Merkel in Germany. She has fallen out of favor and is going to end up being replaced. We have these riots against Macron in France, and we don't know ultimately where that's going to lead to. So not to mention the character in Saudi Arabia. So we have all these wild events going on, but none of them really have impacted the financial markets yet. In fact, if you go back to 2016, when the Brexit first happened, the market just gapped down and shot straight back up and rallied. So again, that's more evidence that the news events just by themselves don't really create trends, and therefore what we need to focus on are the trends and when they change. And now in the United States, I think the trend is obviously not straight up anymore, and we're going to teeter over into a bear market. But we're already seeing stocks in bear markets. They're down 20% or more, and they're popular stocks, the Apples, the Facebooks, the Nvidias, the Netflixes, and on and on and on. But to give people some encouragement that, hey, there are things you can buy and actually make money in. Utility stocks are doing okay. But more interesting is gold is outperforming the U.S. stock market and the Toronto Stock Exchange for that matter too, since the 1st of October. And so are the mining stocks. And I think that's going to be the big story of next year is gold doing, or one of the stories would be gold doing very well, because when you get at the end of an interest rate hiking cycle, which we're at now, by the words of Jerome Powell and also the action of the bond market with the yield curves getting inverted, that tends to lead to a very bullish environment for gold. That's what we saw in 2000. Gold bottomed out at the fall of that year as the stock market really went into a bear market. And in 2007, gold outperformed. It took off in August and September and continued to outperform the market until about for a year, at least for a year. So I think that's what we're going to see is gold outperform the U.S. stock market. And the easy way, I think, for people in the United States or Canada, for that matter, invested in these markets who don't like watching their accounts go down, which is what's been happening, and they're scared. Look, if I sell and go to cash, I might miss out. But if I don't sell, I might lose money. And so people are scared. They're nervous. They don't know what to do. I would assert that a very simple solution is to put some of the money, I'm not saying all, but some of the money into gold and silver and even the mining stocks if you want to speculate a little bit, because if the stock market goes lower, as I expect, the big beneficiary to the upside is going to be gold and silver.
We'll have more with Mike Swanson right after this.
I'm Kelly Jennings, CEO of Powerband Solutions. Powerband is a cloud-based provider of auction, inventory, and finance solutions that make buying, selling, and financing vehicles more efficient. Powerband Solutions trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol PBX and on the OTCQB symbol PWWPF and on Frankfurt symbol 1ZV. For more information, please visit us at powerbandsolutions.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mike Swanson. Mike, a year ago, right around my birthday, everybody at my party was saying, do you have your Bitcoin? It's at 20 grand. You gotta get it. You gotta get it. And I thought when they started talking about stocks at a cocktail party, it's time to stay away from it. Well, it turns out that was absolutely true. It peaked December 19th, and it's been a disaster since then. Do you think cryptocurrencies are going to come back, or are they something that people have learned to shy away from now?
I don't think they're ever going to come back. But if they do come back, it's going to be a long time from now. So the argument they're never going to come back is my belief that Bitcoin doesn't function as money because the transaction fees are too high. It costs you over $30 to do a transaction, so you can't just spend it like regular currency. But it's also not a stable store of value. So if you're a business person, or you want to save money, you don't want to hold this stuff because it goes up and down so much. It's not stable. But regardless, a lot of crypto people, they think it's real. And even to them, I'll say, okay, you say, and I hear what they say, you can't value Bitcoin. You can't say it's worth $0 or $10 or something because this is a new technology. Not everyone understands it yet. Their argument to me when I say it doesn't function as money is you just don't understand. And you can't value it with fundamentals or anything like you can stocks. And I'll say to them, if anyone's thinking that, you're right. So the only way, therefore, to value it or understand what might happen with it is price action, the charts, pure price action, the pure trends. And the trend's broken, obviously. You said, as you mentioned, it was over 20,000. Now it's around 3,500. It's a total collapse. And if you look at other markets that have had collapses of 80% or more, just look what happens to them. They don't go immediately back up. It typically takes at least 2 or 3 years to build a base to recover from before they can go into a new bull market. The easiest example to look at is silver in 1980, topped out and then spent over almost 20 years going sideways. So if Bitcoin's real, expect years of sideways action, because it doesn't act as a safe haven again for declining stocks or drops in the U.S. dollar at all. Even if people want to say it will, there's absolutely no evidence of that because it's never done it before. So you got to just wait on a giant basing phase to play out. So it's really just dead money, and that's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is just a slow death, in which it over time it does actually go to zero or just about zero or ceases to trade as time goes on and fewer people use it for anything. Which actually, I think it's like, in that sense, I think that's ultimately what's going to happen to them. It's going to become like H&S green stamps, which, you know, you can buy them off eBay, but for nothing, but most people don't even know what they are.
Or Confederate money.
Yeah, it actually got Confederate. I have some Confederate money, and it's worth zero. It's worth nothing. It's got like denominations of 20, and it's actually worthless.
Well, you know, as a collector of interesting things, it might be worth something, but as currency, it's useless.
Yeah, well, I actually took it to a coin dealer and said, "How much is this worth?" And he said, "Nothing." I was like, "Oh." That's what he told me.
Yeah, I remember my grandmother had a whole bag full of Confederate money, and she used to hand it out to us kids like Monopoly money.
That's fun. Well, it actually looks like Monopoly money.
Yeah. Do you think millennials, after getting burned on cryptocurrencies, are scared to invest in anything?
Well, it's funny because some of the ones that I know that did get into the cryptocurrencies, they didn't like the stock market. And they thought that the cryptocurrencies are an alternative to the stock market, that somehow if the stock market drops, they would benefit. Obviously, that's not been proven true. But they may not like the stock market, but the fact that they got into cryptocurrency shows that they are interested in trading and trying to make money in the financial markets in some way or another. And I think those people may end up eventually getting into gold and silver. But they'll need to see gold and silver go up more because most of them aren't very sophisticated. I mean, your listeners are, but the app trader really is not. You know, someone who just buys an app and drops, you know, $50 to buy a Bitcoin. It's the first trade they've ever done, which is a lot of that was what was going on last year. They're just brand new to the market. We were all brand new at some time or another, but people that are brand new, they tend to be chasers to get on whatever goes up the most. So I think if they see gold and silver go up, a lot, while everything else is going down, which I actually think is what is probably going to happen, but they won't be the first to get in that trend. They'll be on there much later. And we're all, you know, investing and trading is something you learn something all the time as you do it. And, it's a lifelong thing. So they're in the early part of their game.
Yeah, and quite often too, they say pain's a great teacher.
Yeah, definitely is. But a lot of them are still in the Bitcoins and the other cryptocurrencies. So, I mean, if you go on YouTube and type in Bitcoin or crypto, you'll see dozens and dozens of shows of these younger people holding on to their coins, making claims that, it's going to go up again, but eventually they'll get into something else. That's ultimately what they'll do. They'll chase something else. But they don't want to chase the stock market. And in a way, that was smart of them. But they'll need to find something else.
What about marijuana-related stocks? They had a really nice pop, then they've fallen. Are they going to swing back up again?
Well, they were the hottest thing in the U.S. stock market and in the Canadian markets this year. There's no doubt about it. But they have had a big pullback that has coincided with the drop in the S&P and the TSX. So I don't think they're going to go back up until we see the stock market have a panic washout to end the mark of the decline it's in. Then I think they can start to rally for real again. But otherwise, they're just kind of like trading with the big cap tech stocks, and they need to the correction, I believe, that started in the U.S. stock market and elsewhere in October. I don't think it's over, and I don't think it's going to end till the first quarter or perhaps first half of next year.
Do you think OPEC's 1.2 million barrels a day cut is going to bring oil prices back up?
Well, it's very interesting because the oil prices have slid, obviously, and they announced this cut, but the UAE has said, we're getting out of OPEC, and Iran is pumping oil and selling it to India and China. So it appears there's a lack of coordination, but then there's a wild card also that may also be impacting the price of oil, and that is a slowing global economy. The global yield curve, which is the most accurate forecaster of the recession, it inverted in June, and China is slowing down. Turkey, of course, is slowing down. Other places, and the end of an interest rate hiking cycle in the U.S. is a sign that we're at the top of the economic cycle. So I think slower economic growth around the world is also an explanation for why the oil prices have dropped, and that's a factor that could continue to cause them to go lower for the first half of next year. So until we see a basing process or some sign of a bottom, or that leads to the price turning up, I'm very hesitant to try to call one there.
Mike, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you. Great to talk with you.
My guest has been Mike Swanson, editor of WallStreetWindow.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at HowStreet, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Questions for Mike or other guests can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.